Transylvania, Romania. With its Gothic medieval castles and famous folklore that inspired the tales of Count Dracula, the region's reputation for being a spooky place is legendary. And many believe that there's nowhere quite as frightening as a 1 square mile stretch of wilderness known as the Hoia-Baciu forest.
Hoia-Baciu is a small native woodland on the outskirts of Cluj, which is a city in northwestern Romania. I visited Hoia-Baciu, which is supposedly the world's most haunted forest. The first thing that strikes you in there is just the way it looks is very, very odd. Lots of the trees are kind of bent in all these strange formations, almost like meat hook type shapes. A lot of them have this thing of being bent quite low to the bottom of their trunks. They sort of bulge outwards. There's an eerie atmosphere about it, for sure. But the interesting thing about Hoia-Baciu is that it's not just ghosts, it's kind of a bit of everything. It's a bit of a one-stop shop for the paranormal. Shamans go there to channel spirits. People report a feeling of dread, sometimes a feeling of elation, sometimes even feeling like hands grabbing at them when they walk through the forest. The name Hoia-Baciu is named after a local shepherd who supposedly walked into the forest with 200 of his sheep in centuries past, and none of them were ever seen again. So there's lots of stories of people going missing. There's a famous story about a girl who went picnicking in there with her family, and she wandered off, and they never saw her until 5 years later, when she emerged from the forest, and she hadn't aged a day in that time. So there's a huge amount of folklore and mythology that has kind of grown up around the forest. It's definitely got a kind of energy about the place.
The foreboding, unusual energy found at Hoia-Baciu Forest has made it a global destination for dark tourism, attracting visitors who come in the hope of experiencing its high strangeness.
When you go to the Hoia-Baciu forest, most probably you will experience something else, something different. The forest is known actually for all sorts of things, such as unusual sounds. Sometimes the electronic devices don't work well in the forest. You capture all sorts of things that you cannot really see with the naked eye in your pictures. You can be dizzy, or you can have headaches, or you can experience nausea. If you go in the Hoia-Baciu forest, probably you will have the feeling of being watched. And that's pretty strange. We don't know why this is happening. It's not just a regular forest.
Like Marius Lazin, Alexander Serdukin also guides curious travelers into the depths of Romania's scariest forest. And he's tried to find out firsthand why it has such a strange effect on visitors.
So people, when they are visiting the forest, sometimes they feel like not so positive sensations, like nausea, vomiting, anxiety. I also had some tours when they were almost near a panic attack. Some scientists try to figure out maybe it's radiation involved. For my safety, I used a Geiger meter for 3 years, and I can say it's safe, or it was safe for those 3 years. But most of these people with sensitivities, when we are in these areas, they feel strange stuff.
What is the source of all the strange happenings in this hair-raising natural environment? Well, many believe it can all be traced to the forest's most feared and mysterious location.
At the center of Hoia-Baciu Forest is a clearing about 300 feet wide, and it's called the Circle. Nothing grows in the circle. No plants grow there, trees, nothing can grow there. Just outside the circle, they do. Something is affecting the plant life there. Something also affects the wildlife and humans who visit the circle. When visitors arrive at the circle, they become disoriented, they talk about headaches, they hear noises. And what's strange is not everybody is affected by it.
The circle, the so-called Poiana Rotundă in Romania, it's one of the most active spots of the forest. It's told that the round clearing has somehow the potential to amplify your thoughts and your mood. All sorts of interesting things happen there. For example, in 1968, a military technician, Emil Barnea, captured a few pictures of a UFO That actually made the forest famous because all those pictures were later analyzed by different experts in photography, which all concluded that they were not fake.
The clearing is where the famous UFO pictures in 1968 were taken. And it's where people report having the most strange experiences, effectively. Lots of photos have been taken in there which appear to show some kind of apparition, wraith-like beings, and orbs of light and this kind of thing. I can't say I saw a ghost there or anything like that, but that's definitely the place that made me feel the most uneasy because, nothing grows.
Why does nothing grow in this anomaly known as the Circle? And what can explain the strange effects this area has on its visitors? A book by Romanian professor Adrian Patrut may provide an answer.
There have been studies at the Circle that prove there are electromagnetic anomalies that happen inside that circle that don't happen anywhere else around the forest. This is not folklore, this is not legend, this is scientific fact. What makes it very unnerving is nobody knows why.
Between the early 70s till the mid-90s, a lot of scientists went in the Hoia-Baciu forest. We know that there were taken different soil samples from the forest to see exactly if the soil is different. Also, we know that the scientists mentioned the magnetic field of the Earth may act different compared to some other places, but all the scientists suddenly stopped in their research work. And we never understood why. Some people say that this is because they got some, let's say, unusual conclusions or something really bad happened to them, or maybe they just didn't find what they were looking for. So, at least for the moment, we may conclude that we will never know what is really going on in the Hoia-Baciu forest.